Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello, happy Saturday. How's it going? Hey, Sydney. Or come chat with us during live. What do you mean, Sydney? Hello, Janice. How's it going? Are you talking to everybody lurking in chat, Sydney? Are the official greeter today? Hi, Sharon. How's it going? Happy Saturday. How's it going? It's a beautiful day here in Paradise, California. Except I think there's tree removal happening right behind the parking lot here. So I almost went live early just in case they're going to remove these two because they're marked for that. Hey, Malin, how's it going? Hello, hello. All right, so I set up on my industrial, so I have both machines going here. Hopefully that works out for you guys. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Allison. Oh, yeah, Sydney, exactly. Or come chat with us during the lives. Exactly. Yep. Okay, Allison, I've checked out Fallout a few times. You really like it? It's PvE, right? Or co-op? Because the graphics of it look so kind of cool, and of course, you know, it's intriguing with the like old school like vintage looking graphic for the cover. Have you played Cuphead? Because the graphics in that game with the like 1930s, 1940s animation it's incredible. Like I really wish the world could see the animation in that game and play it. It plays so cool. It's hard though. Yeah. All right, so we're making the Annie cardigan today, and man, I gotta get this done because it's gonna be hot here soon, and when it gets hot here, it pretty much stays hot until like October. So, I don't have much time left to enjoy it except the early mornings and stuff, which I'm usually in bed for. So, oh, there's a new online one. Interesting. You're a PC gamer, right? I think we've talked about that before, and I'm on PlayStation. I mean, trust me, when you have two gaming PCs in your office, it's really tempting to kind of switch to the dark side during my work hours, become a PC gamer by day. But I've never, ever gamed at my office with this internet and these PCs, I will say. So, and my last office would have been perfect. It was my chance to be a pro gamer. Pro at being eliminated first. All right, let's get to it. Let's see here. What do I have to say? Okay, some of the things I did for my setup. I just have my serger set up for a 4-thread. Hi, Nicole. How's it going? And I'm just going to do a 4-thread overcast stitch for my seaming. Looks like this. Oh, this has been top stitched as well. I was testing out my seams. I only have 2 gray cones of thread. I don't know why I only have 2 gray cones of thread. I hardly ever use these dark gray cones. And when I do, it reminds me, you only have 2 dark gray cones, because everything else I have at least 8, 4 to 8 minimum. And the reason I have so much thread, you can kind of see it over there. Wait, is it this way? I just got lucky and a factory went out of business, and they had like a sale. And I didn't really want anything there, except when I saw the thread, I was like, you know what? Just buy that. And I've had it for so long that it's probably technically expired, but it's serving me well. I keep it protected for the most part. So that's the only reason I have so much. And because when we had chicken boots in the factory, I would buy thread, but primarily I bought cream colored thread for most of our sewing. I learned this from this gal who ran this like incubator for indie businesses in the garment industry. In my office, I rented an office inside the incubator for my pattern drafting business. And she said, I just use cream for everything. And it really does work really well for most things. I feel like in home sewing, though, you have the luxury of matching your thread, but I don't really feel like you have to. But that's just me. And my opinion is usually pretty unpopular among sewists. Most people want their thread to match. But, certain bindings, the cream thread looked terrible on, so we would end up buying matching thread. And I feel like the orange and the purple, yep. The orange, the purple, and the light gray, and the brown are the only 4 colors we bought. And because we just couldn't make the minimum. Buying thread, you don't get a wholesale cost when you're a factory. It's like rotary blades. I really wish I got a wholesale for those things. I would have kept that. But you don't, because you are the target customer, right? So you don't get a break. And like, people think, then you must have gotten a break at buying in bulk. I didn't. Like, the thing is, you had to buy 18 cones of one color of thread to break the case. That was a broken case. And there was a fee. I had to pay, I think, $35 to break the case. So 36 cones was the minimum of one color. That's a lot of thread. That was a lot of thread for me. I only bought cream that much. So I don't know, Janice, but I know, like, when I see people using thread on wooden spools, I'm pretty, like, you guys know me, I'm not really like a rule follower, but that's one thing, I just toss that in the trash. Unless you want the wooden spools for a decoration, the thread on that is most certainly not going to hold up. Hey, Barbara. Barbara, did you see I have a poll on the Tier 3 Patreon for scheduling? I'm really hoping that you'll pick one of the slots that other people have picked. And then we have 3 time slots available for the monthly Zoom thing. So check it out. Maybe you have. It doesn't notify me when people answer the poll. I have to keep checking it. So if you have, I apologize. I checked last night, but yeah. So I don't know about the shelf life of thread. This thread's fine. I do test it. Like there was one I was like, this is looking actually older than maybe what the factory. Maybe I got it at the factory and it was old for them too. And so I pulled on it and stuff. But most likely, if you pull the thread on a wooden spool, it will just break. And you don't want to do that. And I think I came across a lot of beginning sewists when I was working at the high school. And I didn't work there as an employee, but I was a mentor there for this program. And that was the biggest fear of new sewists at the high school, was that their stuff was going to fall apart when they started sewing. And they also were really afraid of their... because of that, they did 2 things. They didn't do 2 things. They did one thing. They put their stitches too close together, right? So I'm like, well, the thing is, if you make a mistake, it's really hard to take apart. And that kind of logic is kind of a weird thing to set yourself up for, because you're like, I'm setting myself up to make a mistake. But no, you're not. And I would say, please don't think that it's going to come apart. And I would sew some stitches and say, now try and pull this apart, so... Hi, Sharon. How's it going? We have 2 Sharons here. Oh, no. Oh, you said hi. That's you. Okay. Never mind. One Sharon. Oh, okay. Cool, Barbara. You didn't get an email notification? That's a bummer. So anyway, So what I decided to use is I'll use my dark gray cones on the 2 threads that are the needles of my serger. That way if I pull apart, that the seam is gray, you know, on the outside, the right side, which I checked and then I ended up top stitching so you can't really see. But, and then I used the black for the overcast. Now, I have definitely cheated on stuff like this and I didn't consider it cheating, but I would use, so sometimes manufacturers will prefer the thread to match the interior. So you really could do cream thread on your overcast here and then the gray as the needles so that what's seaming it is what would show if it gets pulled too much, but the cream kind of blends in at the inside. And I have to say, I'm kind of tempted to try that because this looks so stark. You know what I mean? Because it's so soft and fuzzly. Oh, okay, Barbara. No problem. I don't know, Allison. Michelle says it depends on the content. Yeah, that's what I think too, Barbara. I think the short staple cotton is definitely something to consider. I am not a thread expert. The thread gets complicated really quick. It's like technical fabrics. Hi, Lydia. Welcome. Thanks for coming. So you'll notice the counter at the bottom of the screen. This is for my timestamps. I'm not timing you guys or anything, or myself. So it's just a counter. I'm going to take timestamps once we get sewing, and hopefully I'm trying to get in the habit of doing it. And that way I can load the timestamps immediately. So yeah. So anyway, so I just feel like don't beat yourself up if you don't have 4 of the same cones of thread. You know, just kind of get creative and then test it and see what shows on the outside and how it looks on the inside. It's your choice, right? The other thing I did for all the industrial people out there, or the people who really like firm pressure on their presser foot, is I loosened mine up a lot. And watch, the next time I sew on it, I'll probably be with you guys and I'll be like, what's wrong with my machine? And I'll forget that I had done that. So I like a lot of pressure, and it's one of the reasons I love sewing on an industrial. But with the knit, because of that pressure, you start getting that rippling. And so this takes away a lot of that rippling. And the top stitching looks pretty good. So you can see on this pattern, there's quite a bit of top stitching. There's at the waistband here. This is so interesting. The top stitching, I think, is probably incorrect on here because it's on the edge at the back there, but it's not along this edge of the neckband on the front. It is right here at this seam, but it's not at this seam here. I have to tell you, flat sketches are really important to me. I know they don't mean as much to everybody else, but this is the kind of thing I used to do. I used to do the flat sketches and all the engineering part for the patterns. So I take these very seriously. There's also top stitching on the cuff. So I'm going to tell you right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch the waistband most likely. I'm going to see how it feels. But I'm going to push the seam up to the body and top stitch it on the body. I'm not going to top stitch on the band. That's kind of, I feel like that probably happens, but I don't usually, that's not technically how you do it in knits, but I definitely seen ready to wear stuff. It's not like it's bad. It's just not traditional. And I'll probably do it along the neckband as well. Same thing on the body, not on the neckband. And I won't do it on the sleeves. This is how, I'm going to see how I'm feeling when I sew it together and how it feels. Because if it's kind of laying so that the seam naturally stays pushed towards the body at the waist and the front, I probably won't top stitch it. It doesn't really need it. It's just really an aesthetic thing. Or something if you have like a, you know, a seam back there wagging around, right? Because that's kind of annoying, you know. So that's true, Michelle. I like that, the signature thread thing. So, yeah. Oh, smart, Barbara. Yeah. Signature thread color. I do like that. I have seen that. You know, like denim companies will have those red bar tacks or whatever. Ooh, Nicole. That's cool. Yeah, right, Sydney? I mean, years and years and years, those are exactly the 4 thread colors I always had for my serger. If I didn't have it, it's just not a big, it wasn't a big deal. So, yeah, exactly, Janice. Yeah, yeah, and the cover's just the rainbow. Yeah, this machine has like a wave stitch. I've never used it. And in fact, the other day I accidentally used it because it was just, it's like a little toggle right here. I don't know why. Oh, it's this right here. I've never flipped this up, and I guess that must be the wave stitch. And it started doing it, and I was like, what the heck's going on with this thing? It looks cool, but that doesn't look right. And it was the wave stitch. I guess it's really easy to do. I just never do it. So, all right. So those are my top stitching feelings. I'm going to be honest, I didn't print out the instructions for this. I really wish I had read through and just seen what they say. Part of what I do here is try to come to the project as green as possible. I try to sew it along with you as if you're sitting there and you're looking at it for the first time as well. Certain projects I look ahead in the directions. This is really simple for me, and I've sewn this kind of thing so many times that I didn't really think about looking at the instructions too much. I wish I would have, mainly because of I would have liked to see what they say in the instructions for the top stitching, but that computer's not on right now and I want to start sewing. So we'll just see, right? Because she certainly knows her stuff, right? So, all right. Oh, I just wanted to do a note on the sizing. Oh, and this Annie cardigan, you probably can't see it. This is by SewSew Def Patterns or magazine, and she does patterns, and it's Mimi G style. And I strongly encourage you to look at her pictures of her wearing it because it's really pretty fantastic. It's beautiful. The sizing goes down to a 32-inch bust and 34-inch hip, and up to a 47-inch bust, 49-inch hip. It is a knit as well. It doesn't look like there's a lot of negative ease, so it would be pretty forgiving. So, all right, let's do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is the pockets, and here I have my little thing here to remind me to write down. The time's not quite perfect either because I keep forgetting. I have to start that timer when I start streaming. All right, so let's bring the serger over here. And I placed my pockets this morning by pinning the shoulders of the front and the back together, and then I laid it on top of me, lined up the side seams, and then kind of figured out where I want the pockets because I shortened mine quite a bit, and I wanted to make sure I felt like the pockets weren't going to be like right here. So, and they aren't. They're pretty cool. I like it where they are, but I think this is where I want it, the middle of the pocket. It's the same height as if I line it up with the edge. So I think I'm going to raise it up just a tiny bit. So you might be thinking you could include it in the waistband seam, and I actually think you could do that. You're adding just an extra layer, so you're going to have 2 layers here and 2 layers here. The only thing I think is an issue is if you do the top stitching and you fold this up and you have 4 layers plus your serging, your band. That's a lot of layers to top stitch through. It's pretty thick. So I don't feel comfortable with that. I feel like it's just going to stretch it out or break a needle or skip a stitch. So, all right. So I'll probably just put this a little higher than I have it here. Maybe I can even end this like right above the seam, in the pocket right above the seam. Like that. It'll look like it's sitting there on top of the waistband probably. Yeah. Just look at it again. I'll just hold it up. I saw where the shoulder seam kind of hit. I mean, yeah, you are getting kind of into the... Maybe I'll just make the pockets a little shorter too. 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch there. I'll get it down to where it'll be proportionally okay. Oh, but it's such a good pocket size. Oh well. We'll leave them on there. All right. I'm going to overlock the top edge of the pocket, and then we're going to top stitch them on. Hi, Louise. Good day. How are you? You don't remember changing your serger needle? I do feel like that is one I neglect as well. So I'm just going to overlock the top. I'm not going to do a cover stitch on the top just for 2 pocket hems. I'll just chain them together. It's so weird to sit down and serge. I usually always stand up now, and I'm really used to it. And I feel like I'm serging like this, and I can't see very well. Is it a little quieter being over here since the microphone is further away from it, though? That might be nice, huh? Hello. How are you, Nancy? All right, so I'm gonna top stitch my pocket with my single needle. And I'm going to stretch as I fold, or I mean sew a little bit. Really just so that if I'm ever really like pushing down into my pockets, it's had a little give. It's going to probably ripple quite a bit, but I'll be able to iron that out. Not too worried about it. I switched to a ballpoint needle. But I have to admit, I have a little bit of doubts as to the certainty of if it really is a ballpoint. And it's quite thick. So, it sounds good? Thank you. Good. Thanks for telling me. Yeah, so a little bit of rippling. See that? This calms down in the laundry and everything. I feel like 2 rows would look better because we're used to seeing 2 rows, but I don't think I'm really going to notice that. It doesn't look very straight, though. Right, Sydney? But it's 38? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, sounds like perfect sewing weather to me. The weather here is just, it's amazing. All right. Patch pockets with knits. Kind of not typical, right? Like you don't really see a whole lot of sewing patterns with them. But man, it's going to really make it cozy. All right, so I'm going to line this up and just bring it a tiny bit more because I also have a seam allowance there. And this is my plan on how I'm placing them. My scientific method. Let go, let go. It is kind of funny, since I cut this on the cross grain because of the stretch, the fabric looks sideways a little tiny bit. You know? The light looks really weird there. It makes it look like there's more heathering in there. It's very subtle though. Alright, so I'm gonna loosen up my pressure a little bit more. This kind of knit sewing, I feel like it's really hard to make it look really good. You really have to have the proper machines and all that, and a lot of hours in the sewing of it. Now there's not as much stretch in my fabric going this way. It's mostly this way. So it's probably going to be a little bit easier than it seems like going down this edge here. But when I go across the bottom, it's probably going to get rippled again. Got a nice edge to look at for keeping parallel. It is for myself. I know I keep saying how soft it is, but it really is. Like, this is the stuff. Oh, look at it. See quite a bit of rippling. Can you see that? I'll show you in a second. My light's being kind of blocked by the serger. But this is the fabric that I used. I can't remember. Did I sew this with you? My tamarack vest, the purple one. So when I put in my welt pockets, I used a pre-quilted fabric for that vest, and then I lined it with this like my knit print fabric, you know, and kind of a weird combo, but it works. And then I made the pockets out of this, even though this is a knit. So I made the welt out of the shell fabric, but then I made the pocket bags out of this, and I also made it so that the wrong side was facing my hands, because it is really, it's like instant warmth. Yeah, so these could use a good steam, but I think they're gonna look really good. Oh, what's the sewing weekender? Is that the like where everyone all weekend long was on? Because that looked really cool. That's not my pocket. This is my pocket. Let's use this one. There we go. Can you see a little bit of the ripple there? A little bit. That'll calm down. We're not worried. Nice, Louise. And who hosts that? Where does one go to sign up for that? Did I leave my pin in this pocket? No, okay. I've done that before. Wondered why there was a pin in my pocket. Oh, it was fun? Okay. I would be down for that. What is it, though? Tell me more. What am I getting myself into? Oops. I think I fell off the edge there, but I couldn't quite tell. When you are sewing these little edges right here between this hem and then below, it almost goes like this. I'm exaggerating. And so I kind of push the fabric to kind of keep it with the appearance of looking straight still. Oh, neat, Nancy. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the tickets, yeah. So it's definitely more accessible this year and last year. The fold line. All right, cool. Did you find any Friday Sews videos you liked, Nancy? Any new content creators that you like? I'm enjoying them a lot. I watched The Wandering Bobbins today, and she had kind of a cool little feature in hers where she showed her Instagram inspiration of the week. And I really enjoyed it. Like, so she all week long just kind of probably saved things to one of her collections in Instagram. And then she kind of shared it. And it wasn't like a very long thing or anything. It was kind of cool. I thought that was pretty clever. It was kind of like eye candy inside of her video. I got a little bit of my under pocket sticking up. And I kind of turned back more at this top edge than I did down here. And I was just to keep the appearance of it being straight. So I'm going to tuck it in there when I go to sew it. No. All right. Okay. So you sew a project over the weekend and watch works option. Okay. I can't even imagine how this works, like the workshop thing. So I'm down. I want to see how it works. Do you see people see me? Can I do this? Is this like, I want to know on pajama level? Is this pajama level involvement, or is this top half zoom involvement? All right, we're gonna do the shoulders and side seams now. I do set my sleeves on even with knits. I know. I'm such a meanie. You don't have to do that though. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so what was that hashtag? Because I looked for that and I couldn't find it. I kind of wanted those questions for my first Friday sews so that I was conforming, you know? I need to find something better to talk about during mine. All right. My shirt's pulling off the table, so try and keep your project up on the table because it pulls it right out. I don't like where the foot pedal goes on this machine. Here we go. Oh, but I have that, that's right, I have that foot pedal holder. It's probably just packed away from the move in my home machine stuff. That's right. Oh. So that's not a constant live stream thing? Oh, very cool, Michelle. Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. I wish I was more, I don't know, aware, would notice more things. Maybe I could have sponsored something, you know? So the seam allowances called for in the pattern are 1/4 inch. My size was like just above the size medium. So I decided to cut the size large, and I'm just going to use 3/8 inch seams. You can see my serger thing it's more than 1/4 inch wide. And I like a wide serger. It just feels nice. But look at that. Can't see my stitches. And even if you could, they're gray. Oh, get to know Friday sews. I could not find that anywhere. Cool, Louise. Thanks for telling us, Louise. Oh, because that was the shoulders. Shoot. Shoulders now to side seams. I think for the pockets, I looked at the timestamp on your screen and, oh no. No. This is my screen here. 32:55. 59 now. We'll just say 33. That's funny. That's funny, Nancy. She liked being a machine operator. You know, in production sewing, she would have a blast. Honestly, you don't have to do cutting, pinning, any of that stuff. No ironing. So the channel that started the Friday Sews things is Today in Jen's Sewing Room, I think is the name of it, her YouTube channel. I kind of want to try and find the video that started it, like what she was thinking behind it, and so I like seeing that kind of, like the foundation of it. Things can still like grow and develop in their own way, right? Can you see okay? Sorry. Just doing side seams here. Don't really need to pin things like this. So you can see I just kind of get it started. I do put my presser foot on top of it because of the knit. to get it kind of started and close instead of using a pin. And once I get it kind of a little chunk, then I kind of go and line up the rest of the seam. You know, find the bottom of it like this. And knits, thankfully, if they're not rolling, like my camera's usually there, if they're not rolling on you, knits are great because they kind of stick, they cling to each other. All right. I think they're done doing the tree work, which is great. Yeah, Malin. Totally. Yeah, I think you are not alone in feeling that way. I often try and think, like, how could I help people with that? And it's so hard since I'm not there with you, you know? Just checking things over, making sure everything looks okay. Get rid of some of these tails. All right, next step is I'm going to put the waistband on. So the waistband is one long piece and it's quite wide. You're just going to fold it wrong sides together. Now mine only has a center back notch. Ooh, the notches were pretty subtle on this pattern, so there could have been notches that I missed between the center front edge and the center back edge. I'm kind of curious, is this a piece that gets stretched when you're sewing it on? So let's check it out. Doesn't look like it. Nope. Nope. Okay, cool. If anything, it looked the opposite. So this is where you want to pay attention to not getting any torquing. Make sure that you're keeping these two layers, one stacked on top of the other, and don't let them shift. Stop that. Stop that. I knew you were going to do that. There we go. All right. No, Louise. I think, to be honest, I think flat felling denim on a home machine is a little, you'd have to know your machine really well to know, like, is that really the capability of it? So I would be careful with that. And usually, yeah, it's only the inseam that gets flat felled. Pretty sure, right? Inseam. It's always the seam I don't think it should be. And then I'm like, I get it. So I learned that. I remember that. And then I start flipping it because I'm like, wait, it's the one I don't think it should be. But you do think it should be that now. You know, like I get so used to it. I'm going to put a little clip here. That's cool, Nancy. You have a serger, right? You love your machinery. So I'm just kind of stretching this out. Not stretching it. I'm just kind of, you know, laying it out. Not stretching it, just extending it. And I'm just trying to find where I think this side seam's going to hit. There's no stretching involved. This is pretty simple. Just 3 layers, though. And like I said, you don't really want the shifting. I do have this pocket. I can feel the thickness of this pocket. This is so annoying that that's doing that. Where's my awl? Because then it'll give me an ugly overlocked edge. Oh, well, I'll just get past that. Stop it. Look at that. It's not cutting it. There we go. Phew. Okay. I'm going to push my side seams to the back. You jerk. 3 layers, man, and then it's like, no, I don't want to go down. Wow. Do I need to, like, maybe I shouldn't trim anything. That was it. This is getting loose. Okay. I just reconverted this from being the cover stitch from when we were sewing the other day. And this is kind of loose. It's not as flush anymore. I don't know. Hi, Eliza. That's smart, Nancy. Yeah, total sewing, normal sewing passage. Yeah. I agree with that. I think that's why you've been seeing me sew so many like home accessory things. You know, we got a new house, so I have different decorating needs. You know, making the bin and then the laundry hamper recently. Those are the things I need. So why not make it a project since I got to buy something anyway. And then, you know, I want to make the portable litter box for our go bag for fire season. You know, like, I know none of you probably need or want something like that, unless maybe you're in an RV. I think it would be really handy for those people that are in an RV and have to bring a cat. I didn't really think that whole sentence through until I said it, and I was like, okay, well, that's a very niche, small niche, right? So, Louise, it's so exciting. You're going to make some jeans. You're making the Dawn, right? Hey, Ray, how's it going? I used to, even when I was hey, Terry, you driving? Drive safe. I hope you're going somewhere good. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 little machine. That looks kind of messy. Don't you start torquing on me. We just say no to torquing around here. But when I was doing, you know, freelance pattern drafting, I frequently was looking in my closet to see how factories liked to sew something, because that's generally the most efficient way. And it doesn't help to look at brands that are massive, because they probably have machines tooled for their type of sewing. But for the most part, you can look at a lot of, you know, budget clothing for if you're in the budget clothing market, and then going up from that, kind of look at the market you're drafting for, you know. So, oh, I saw that, Malin, the tulle skirt, the women's version of a utila kilt. Yeah, it's pretty cute. Have you seen Billy Speaks? I have poison oak. That's what the rash is, by the way. Let's see it. I used to not be allergic to it, and I think I'm finally getting allergic to it. There's a ton of it on our property, and I think me and Cricket both have it right here, and I think it's because we both pick up Loki a lot. He probably walked through it. Yeah, they are very high, super high waist. That's not hard to change, though. I mean, you have to, if you lower your waist, you need to adjust the waistband, and then, you know, move your markings. if you need. So, all right. So now we have, oh, I just did the waistband. Oh, I put that on there. Great. Next we're doing the neckband. This keeps me kind of moving, doesn't it? Because I am trying to write everything down. Okay. So the neckband was a really, really long patterned piece, and there's 2 of them. So we're going to seam it together first. And I also added a couple of extra notches to kind of help with the like placement of them, of the neckband to the garment. And what I did was, there is a shoulder notch on the neckband, and so I just found the center between the shoulder notch and the hem on the seam line, and then I did the same thing on the fronts. Just to kind of give myself an extra, you know, guide. When you're sewing those really long, stretchy things, it kind of helps. Okay, so same thing, wrong sides together. Wait a minute, this is finished on the bottom. No, actually, we're going to sew this. Wait, is this? Wait a minute. No. Is this really this narrow? Oh. Right? Now I want to look. Is it really that narrow? I should have put down the directions. I didn't need to cut 4 of this, right? There's no seam along the outer edge. I wouldn't have liked that. It's that narrow, huh? I guess so. All right, so we're going to sew across the ends down here. I'm going to do just my single needle. I'll get a better, I think a better point. So I'm just going to go right across the bottom there. Trim my point. There we go. Same with the other side. Hi Martina, how's it going? I'm not too hyper today, so I think that helps. I do feel like my new office has a definite like a ambiance about it that feels pretty relaxing here. Nice, Louise. Eliza, you going to do the sewing weekend? Yeah, we've just been talking about it. Does it cost? Is that why you guys are saying bite the bullet? Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to check it out and see. All right, so at the center back seam, you might find it lays better if you twist the seam in there like this. Just depends. See what you think when you look at it. Maybe not laying better is the term I needed, but it's really that if you are going to stack these seams one on top of the other, to sew it at the center back neck right there and not get this to shift like this, it'll fall off, right? So if you have your seams stacked one on top of the other at the seam line, right, like I have now, and they're both pushed the same way, when you go to sew it, when you come along this edge and sew it, my machine would probably not like this thickness and go like this, push it, and then I end up having torquing, right? Because then it won't line up along those edges. So I just kind of do this. I just flip one way and one the other way. And yes, I know it's twisted in there, but you really don't feel it or notice it. And it's a lot less thickness there. In fact, I'm just going to stitch this down. Why not, right? Right in the seam allowance. And then that'll help me also keep it on track when I'm going to sew it and prevent torquing. So. The Ames jeans is cashmere, yeah. Oh, right, the UK thing. Oh, okay. That's so cool. All right. So we're gonna sew this. And once we have this neckband on, and so when I come down, I'm gonna press the waistband seam going up. When I have this on, once I have this seam right here, I don't really like raw edges going to the end, but I'm really glad it wasn't the opposite, because if you would have sewed the neckband on first and then had the waistband, having the seam right there at the center front would have been really bad, really awkward. It doesn't look as good. And this is the hem of your garment. It's a less of a focal point. And we'll go back and kind of clean it up and make sure that it doesn't look messy. So you know what I think I'm going to do to set myself up for success? I'm going to stitch this with my machine here and on the other end too, just to set myself up. It also will help like mash it down better and get it so that I can hopefully keep it lined up along that bottom edge. You know, because you really want it to be straight across. And look, I didn't quite get it like that. Wham. So let's take it out and try again. My machine's probably, that's just, what is that? What the heck? Is that a hole? Did I have a hole right there? I didn't even know it. Well, good. I'm glad I'm finding that out now. It looked weird. Why is there a slit there? Did I just cut something by accident and I didn't even notice? All right. Now we need to sew that a little bit in. So let's make sure we get this. And let's maybe do a couple pins, since it's just the single needle machine. Right? I'm kind of pushing this neckband that way as I do it. In fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll sew it from going down towards that edge to kind of keep it lined up. This way I can see the edge right there, and I can tell, you know, am I staying lined up right there? Let's hope so. Oh, that looks way better. That's good. Really, Malin? Why were all the other countries way ahead of us with like COVID and stuff, and now we're doing pretty good? All right, so I'm gonna walk this along the whole edge and find my notch first. Here's one. This is that extra notch I added just to find the halfway point along the center front. Now I'll put this as clips, so this edge, I'm going to serge it. So we're just going to clip it there. We're going to clip it at the center back neck. There's the shoulder right there. Right here. I wouldn't normally do all this clipping because I don't have a good reason. I just wouldn't. Sorry, I'd just go for it and it'd be fine with me. So now this isn't gonna reach. That notch to there does not reach. Look at that. Interesting. We know this goes at the center back there, so maybe what we have to do is ease this in. Usually it would be smaller, not bigger. Oh, but you know what? You know what's interesting? When I found this center notch, oh, I did put the waistband up, didn't I? Okay. I have threads in my hair. Okay, this looks good. This looks a little bit less. So I think I'm just going to come up with a new halfway point, you know? It still wants to line up there. I'm going to move it down just a little bit. I'm just going to guess. I'm going to move it down a 1/2 inch that way. So that way it's less to ease in here. But look at that shoulder seam notch. Can you see that? There's my shoulder seam notch. There's the shoulder seam. I might be missing a lot of chat. Sorry. Seems like you guys are talking with each other, which is great. So just yell at me. Oh, interesting, Ray. I do find that interesting. I feel like this has the potential to kind of reshape the way people work. Because don't you feel like, yeah, working from home had become kind of a less out of the ordinary thing before the pandemic. But there was still a kind of like not a stigma, that's not the right word, but more of like a, is someone really being productive there? There was that kind of worry. And now they've realized, okay, well, I also think like being in a work office for some people is more distracting. And the more time you have to talk about a project, the more you don't do the project, you know? That's amazing, Eliza. I don't know, Louise. I don't have the pattern in front of me, and I feel like maybe it said shoulder notch, but I don't think I could force that. I'm kind of looking at chat and doing this, sorry. But, you know, I think part of the issue, like I look at my husband's work and pretty much everybody but some of the customer service and the warehouse and a few people started working at home. And now there's more and more people. Let's move this down a little bit like we did on the other one. Now there's more and more people going back into the office. More and more people are getting vaccinated. And they even set up like a study area in the main conference room for people with kids. And they can bring their kids, you know. And but here's the rub. You know, his business is in a 5-year lease with the company they rent the building, and the building's big. So if everybody started working at home, it'd be like this ghost town in there, and it would be really hard to warrant paying for all that, but they already are, you know? So I feel like there's going to be some companies that are just like, yeah, we can't really do that. Okay, so let's see what I think about this again. I don't have much table space. I already pushed my thread cradle down because of the camera. Like, it's not a big deal to sew this in there. I'm just kind of surprised that the notch doesn't really, it's really far right there. And even if the stretch was going this way, which it isn't, it's going this way, I'm not sure why it would only stretch between the shoulders and the back neck, except that, you know, you do want that kind of, you don't want the neckband to flop out. You do want it to be a little smaller. Did I sew this edge down here? No, I didn't. All right, so we're just pre-sewing this right here. This other side. trying to keep it so it stays stacked and lines up. No, not bad, not bad. Oh, Detroit ICU's at capacity. I just saw someone say that. Dang. Exactly, Malin. I think it also can add quality of life when people can kind of do their, when you're only doing the work that you need to get done. Why's the differential on? So, you know, like, oh, you want to make your lunch, or you need to have your air conditioner serviced. You can be home for it. It's like, you can do both. You can work while they're there still, you know? Whereas before you would have to like take your afternoon off to go do that. Yeah, I think Eliza, that in-person university or college experience is pretty hard to beat. It's more than just the education, you know? It's like the whole experience of it. My machine's not going to like this thickness right here. Oh, let's push this. See that? Come on. Okay, maybe it's not going to like it at all. It's not moving. Wow. Maybe it's time that I change my machine. Fine. Yeah, this is sticking out here, but really what I'm concerned about is keeping my neckband right on top of one another, right? So that I'm not getting any torquing and these layers aren't shifting, that getting pushed this way, you know? I don't recommend pre-sewing that edge unless you want to maybe pre-sew it with a zigzag, because you don't want to prevent it from stretching later on, you know? Hi, Zach. Nice to see you. Wow. Gosh. Really, Zach? Interesting. Whoa. I don't know what that was. All right. It's kind of amazing I'm not as afraid as I should be, right? I wasn't the kid who would have jumped off a roof, but I am the kind of person that's like, what's this button do? You know, so. I can kind of see the beginnings of some torquing, so let's lift our presser foot, kind of tuck that in there. And it's mainly because my hands are busy managing the knife of my machine right now that I'm not able to, but I can kind of see a little bit right here. So maybe I can correct it by kind of pushing this in here. And get it back on track. I think that worked. Press the shoulder seams towards the back. All right, so this is the center back, and I'm not gonna put my label in on the serging because it won't help. I don't really need to. I love how I had that clipped even though it was already sewn. I forgot I had already sewn it. No wonder it was so easy to clip. I had already given myself that little gift. All right, let's line up this whole long edge here. Oh, I see, Eliza. Yeah, your students. That's true. Do you miss in-person teaching, Eliza? Like, do you miss that kind of dynamic? I think it's kind of cute when I look in my husband's office and he's in a meeting and he hasn't shut the door and I can see the dogs sleeping right there. I think that's so cute. The dogs are usually on me 24/7 if I'm home. Like they are barnacles. And so when they're in there hanging out with him, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, wow, Mom, they just got their first dose. I'm so glad they did. Yeah, in California, it's not hard to get a vaccine anywhere near me. I'm pretty sure it's because we're in an agricultural area. They were in the first couple groups of priority with elderly and medical people and educators and agriculture. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to want to look at the seam afterward. Look at that. What the heck? Look at that. You know, they said they put a new blade in. I'm just not sure. Maybe I just haven't been sure. Or maybe the spacing isn't good. I don't know. But these little chunks of my sweatshirt. We ain't going for home sew around here. I ain't about that Becky Homecky life. No, I'm just teasing. I actually really love the way things look home sewn. It's very comforting to me. All right. Let's see. Here's my start. I had a really rough start, but it looks like everything's Gucci. All right, so now the picture, see, here's the thing. I'm really sorry to anyone. I don't know. I know it's not fair to do the sewing instructions based on the picture. I'm not trying to be a snob about it at all. It's just how I've always done it. The flat sketch should be enough. And I think it's not reflecting the instructions. Hi, Fiona. How's it going? Oh, nice. You know, I think you can get it for free if you sign up for Melanated Fabrics newsletter. So, I did. It just came to my inbox. Yeah, Liza. Yeah, that's what I figured. Probably easier to assess how they're really doing. And welcome, Fiona. Thanks, Ray. Okay, so where I was going with that is in the picture, it shows the seam being pressed towards the band and top stitched, but I'm not going to. I'm going to press it this way. And I actually should have top stitched this seam before I put that on there. My bad. I can't believe I did that. But I also don't think you have to top stitch this waistband seam unless you feel like it needs it. So let's check it out. Is that torquing? This definitely needs a top stitch though. Look at the front band here. I think the top stitch is really going to help it. I am getting a little mild torquing though. Yeah, I don't want to bash my machine, but I just think it's not, me and it aren't friends anymore. So maybe because I never named it. All right. We're going to do some top stitching. Oh my gosh, I cannot write 111. All right, there we go. Oh, neat, Ray. Ooh, nice, Fiona. If it's a natural fiber, she probably could have broke it. That's what I always did when I forgot my scissors. But yeah, if she's not using a natural fiber, oh, you just hurt your hand trying to fix it. So I'm going to take my tail here. It's not the nicest. So remember I said we're going to clean up this edge here. So I'm going to pull this tail and see how my machine, this is where I started and was having some trouble getting going. So I kind of want to see if I can get that tighter right here. But it gets a little risky, you know, because I had that little bit of trouble trying to get it going. Because now I kind of have these threads and not a tail, you know, and I really want a tail. All right, so we're gonna tuck this all in to the seam right here. That one I'm gonna trim a little bit, a little bit. And I may even do a few hand sewing stitches on that since my machine was kind of weird. And so if you have a tail here, what I would do is tuck it into the seam right here and then pull over the seam allowance there, get it in there. As long as you get a little bit in there and it gets caught in the top stitching. And then I'm going to pull down my edge with the awl to try and cover up as much of that seam allowance as possible. I wish I was left-handed right now. Like this. There we go. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing, Nancy. Right, Sydney? I think so too. Just sew over some of the serger stitches. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I had these, probably it doesn't show up on the camera very well, but I had kind of a bump. Look at all this stuff here. It was more than just the tail. The loops of the serging were going to stick below my hem. All right, so we're going to top stitch. If you're watching this before you sew it and you want to top stitch your waistband, I would top stitch the waistband before you do this. put the neckband on, and then, you know, that way you can just go into the raw edge of the seam allowance. Did you guys hear that? My camera vibrated. Yeah, so in case some of you don't know, this area my office is in is Paradise. And Paradise had an extremely devastating fire called the Camp Fire a little over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. If you Google it, it'll come up. And there's still a lot of tree removal happening. You know, I think I have torquing in this band, and that makes me kind of mad. So. You knit, yeah, under the desk. No, it's not an earthquake. It might have been, I don't know how they removed the trees. They probably, I don't think they fell them, but they might fell it, and that's probably what it was. Can you guys hear the chainsaws? There's a lot of chainsaws. If it was an earthquake, it would have been a little longer. I would have known an earthquake. Been through plenty of those. So yeah, some of these trees here. So it's kind of probably hard to imagine, but the trees all around here are black. Like they're black. It's intense, you know? And so even though this one right here has some green leaves and branches on it, it is black to the bottom. And I think because there's redwoods along the back here, that's probably what saved this building. Because the fire came from that way to here. So, twerking, not twerking. They were probably on lunch break when it was quiet there. See, it looks pretty good, like it's not torquing, but I think it kind of gently is, and I think that's partly because I really couldn't manage those two layers very well while I was going through my serger, unfortunately. And if that is the case, and it doesn't really relax or go away over time, which I don't know why torquing would, I would probably cut the band off and put a new one on. And I mean, cut, like literally I would just cut it off, because removing all this top stitching, no thanks. All right, so here's my thread tail, and this one's way better. So I just pull it pretty tight inside there and close it. And then I'm going to pull this seam. But see, this is a little chunk of my jacket that didn't get trimmed. See, it kind of encloses it. This is definitely not my best. And so then we can get rid of the rest of this tail that's poking out, but it got enclosed in that top stitching right there. So look at all this. All right, so probably should put this on before I top stitched. Whoops. I could do it on the side seam maybe too. Let's put the tag on. My little clown face. Get rid of these little, these are like the little back stitch threads when I got it all situated. Where was that thread at? There we go. That's coming out of the seam. Yeah, and this is kind of naturally pushing up except the side seam, and I'm fine with that. One of the things you can do, and you'll see in ready to wear, is that they'll actually anchor the seam allowances in a side seam sometimes, like this. Just a little like bar tack right there at the side seam. have to do it. Then it all stays up. Let's do this side too. Because otherwise, see, it pushes down right here at the side seam. But this is pushing that way. It probably doesn't look like it, but it is. See, when I push down, it's not pushing away. Except right there. Yeah, Ray. There's a Netflix one. I know there's a couple of them. I have to admit I haven't been able to watch it quite yet. But I watched the Ron Howard one. But that was all about rebuilding the ridge here. Like just the effort and the people that are passionate about it. Oh, this looks really bad, I think. Yeah, Michelle, right? Okay, let's do our sleeves. Your king visited. Oh, that's cool. You built a home deck. Oh, neat. You can hear it barely, yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's so much I want to say about being around this community while they're rebuilding, but it's not my place to say it because I didn't go through the trauma of running away from the fire. My parents did, and my brother did. My brother almost didn't make it out. Like I don't even know how he did, knowing where he ended up and how it all went down. I can't even really like talk about it, you know? And so, and I hear stories and I've seen the foot. I had friends literally sending video live driving through flames, like my assistant, you know, I don't know how she made it out, you know? So I didn't go through that. All I did was pace my living room frantically waiting for my parents to show up, and I couldn't find my brother for a really long time, and I was the point person, you know? So I don't know. I don't like to talk about it because I feel like it's just not my tragedy to talk about, but witnessing it is a really interesting thing to go through. And I feel like I have a lot to say and explore about that, you know? And I drive by the hills like right outside. So my house is 5 miles away, and I did not live there during the fire. Now that I'm here all the time, and I see it, you know, right now it's spring and the ground is just like lush green grass. Like it is beautiful here, and it's only like that for a few weeks of the year, spring. And then on the hills, though, the stark contrast of black forest trees all over. Yeah, exactly, Louise. I mean, that happened a few months after I started. It was intense. I was streaming during the fire. I remember I was like, yep, I gotta go. I gotta figure out what's going on, because they've been evacuated several times and it was no big deal. And so I thought it was one of those times. And then I finally was like, I gotta go. And oh, man. I'll never forget that. But I don't know. It's so interesting seeing the rebuilding effort. And, you know, because I didn't know the community intimately before the fire, we would pass through Paradise to Magalia, where my parents lived. My parents' house was gone before they got to the main street, and they didn't even know it for months that it was gone before they got to the main street. We all thought that it made it. We thought because they couldn't see their house for a long time, or where it was, or even know for a long time. You know what I mean? And so now, you know, we know a little bit more, but it's still, yeah, like Ray said, I don't understand. I saw it to understand more, the documentary, and now I don't understand. That is exactly all the stories you hear around here about the things that survived and the things that didn't survive. It's fascinating. And it's so easy for outsiders to be like, just do this. Why don't you just do that? And it's not like that at all. Like, there's no just doing anything around here. all of California is pretty much a fire zone now. And, you know, I don't know. It's just crazy. Because I didn't know the community before really well, and we would just pass through and just go to kind of, like, you know, a store on the way or whatever. I'm really disoriented now. I don't know. Because there's like, you'll drive down the road. I don't have to talk about this. I'm really sorry. This is just something that's on my mind since I moved here a lot. But you'll drive down the road and there's like the whole like, you know, the sign for a store, like a CVS or a Walgreens or a grocery store or whatever. It's the sign's there and it's a barren lot. And that's how the whole town is when you're driving through. It's nuts. And the crazy weird thing of the things that survived, auto parts stores. There's so many frauding auto parts stores up here, you know? And the Ace Hardware did, like it's an old Ace Hardware. Thankfully that survived, which is great. And 2 grocery stores, or maybe, I think they had damage, but they got going again. And same with the Rite Aid. And a few other things. It's crazy. It's just, and so like when you're driving around, it kind of looks okay. These are the cuffs, by the way. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking about this. Oh, here you are. Cuffs. I'm going to sew the cuffs together. I'm probably not doing this in the order of the instructions. But it looks green and lush right now, but it's so not, you know? It's so dead trees and empty lots around lush green grass. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, Ray. Like, I really loved that podcast interview I got to do with Maria of Velo Sews. But I will say I was really blindsided because I told you guys, like, we recorded the interview, but her internet kept going out. And so the recording didn't get completely whole, right? So this is right sides together, by the way, and you want to do these 2 short edges right here. And so when she asked me one of the questions, well, we did the podcast interview, and then like a few days later, she says, you know what, Sarah Mayer, I kind of need to re-record it. And I was like, that's fine. And I was like, this will be a lot easier. I know all the questions. I won't be as nervous. She was super smart. She decided to keep it still organic, and she changed up a couple of the questions. And one of them really caught me off guard because what the answer was, the question was, what's your most treasured make? And it really hit me because my treasured makes are the things my mom saved from the fire. And they're things I made when I was like a kid and like applying for a job. They weren't treasured to me, you know. But anyway, that really threw me off. And so what bugged me though was the fact that like that is not my tragedy to talk about. And I don't like getting attention for that or co-opting on that. You know what I mean? They just settled the whole PG&E lawsuit, but I don't know really how that went, you know. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about it, but it's like there's not really anyone in my life to talk about it with because they all survived it. And my husband, he was flying to Costa Rica. Wait. Yeah, that day. So he did go through it. Oh, I'm doing the underarm seams of the sleeves. I'm sorry. What time is it? I know the timestamps probably don't line up. Underarm seams of the sleeves. Well, we'll say 128 because it's not 126. That was the cuffs. All right. And you're going to I like to set in the sleeves. That's why I like to do the underarm seam first. I know a lot of folks like to leave the underarm or the side seam open on the body, attach the sleeve to the body, and then do the underarm seam of the sleeve and the side seam of the body at the same time. You can do that. And on knits, I feel like it's not as critical. I still really like, especially knits are usually so bulky, I like to make the armhole in a circle and kind of keep it, you know, smooth on that underarm part and not a bulky bump. So. You sold the things I had. Well, I'll tell you what, like, real estate here is still nutso. There's just nothing to buy here, you know? There's, like, I think the past few years, like lately, it's obviously a little better because people have kind of settled and found places, but there's still, it's like less than 100 houses on the market for this entire county. That's not a lot. That's for every price range. And, you know, I think, Eliza, that's the thing I really want to talk about because during fire season, it'll probably affect me and it'll probably affect the stream. A lot of you know that, and it just happens because sometimes the smoke gets really bad from nearby fires, or they do planned outages here to prevent fire. So they'll turn off the power for blocks of places to prevent a spark, and when it's really dry. And they only give us like 2 days notice. And so then we can kind of get the generator fueled up. And we use the generator for our refrigerator and the internet. And then that way we can kind of stay informed and stuff. And then we just got solar, but we don't have solar walls to store power yet. They're in high demand. So now I'm going to put the cuff on, and I'll talk about this in a second too. So we have a halfway point, so let's put a halfway point there. I'm going to put a halfway point between these seams here and on this edge over here. So better, more accurate this way. And so I think, like, I've seen Sonia Phillip talk about it a little bit. Oh, this is marked. Yeah, so you want a halfway point, and you want it on both edges. Don't just do it on one. This way you can kind of help yourself prevent torquing because you can keep these two edges lined up. I think the thing of, like, when people say, just move somewhere else, that is, like, it's kind of the worst thing you could say to someone because there's nowhere to move. Everywhere here is a fire zone now. It is, and if it isn't, there's something else. There's mudslides or something. And just moving out of state, come on. Come on. People don't just do that. I'm sorry. We've thought about it. My parents thought about it. So, you know. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Bye, Michelle. Have a good weekend. Do all the things. Eat all the good stuff. All right, I'm going to flip my seams right here so that they are twisted at the fold, you know, in there. But I'm just going to offset them here to, you know, counter the thickness issue. So, yeah, I mean, and I know, you guys. Yeah, well, thank you. I know. But the thing is, like, it's kind of, yeah. Anyway, I agree. I definitely have had my own processing, and it's, you know, it's the stress of it. Like, when it becomes that season for me, I'm like, I don't like feeling like this, you know. The other thing is, like, what to say to someone who's lost their place, because that's the thing I see people make a pretty big mistake about. So if someone's been through a tragic fire and they've lost everything, don't ever, for the rest of their life, say, I'm really glad things are getting back to normal for you. Don't ever say that, because they are not. It is never the same when you've lost everything in a tragic way that endangered your life. You know what I mean? And I can say, because I watch my parents, you guys, I'm watching them rebuild their entire life. And you know, my mom literally still looks for things that she doesn't have or own, you know? So it's like that's natural. But even like weird things like, what was she looking for the other day? And we were kind of chuckling about it because she's like, now I can't even keep track of what I've bought and what I haven't bought to replace it, you know? So I'm like, well, do you have it or not? You know? She's like, I don't even know. But then you go through her kitchen, you guys, it's the saddest thing ever. Everything's brand new in her house as far as like that kind of thing, like dishes and stuff. But you open the cupboards and they're all empty. You're like, well, it doesn't take long to look for things. You know, we can joke about it, but it's not really that funny. And yeah, like it'll just never be the same for them, you know? All right, so what sleeve is this? So I'm going to look up here. This is a single notch, and that's a double notch over there. There, I didn't put it, but I only need one side, right? So we're going to press this seam towards the back this way. I'm going to put my cuff inside here like this. I'm going to line up that seam, and I'm going to stitch it down because that's helping my machine a little bit. Just right here. Just right here. And I'm also going to try and clip these little tiny threads that I leave really closely because they're the things that have been poking out through my seam, you know? So, all right, so this one's ready to sew on the serger, and I'm going to sew it from the inside of the cuff like this. So, oh, wow, Sydney. Grading, dog girl. Okay, wait, Martina. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of bulk now to sew. Where at, Martina? Where are you worried about? Let's talk about it. All right, same thing here. Let's find... I'll get you a grading question in just a second. This is probably the back, right? Yep, that's the front. I knew that because both these sleeves, the underarm was on this side, the fold was over here, and on that one, the front was on this layer, so that one has to be the front. So we're going to press the seam. You don't have to pre-sew this like this, but it does prevent me from using a clip right here and when I'm starting, you know. It is pretty thick. A lot of folks will also put their cuff onto the sleeve before they do the underarm, and I just don't like that. But you can totally do that. So in other words, this underarm seam wouldn't have been sewn. The sleeve would be open flat. You fold your cuff wrong sides together, sew it to this edge here, and then you do your underarm seam, and then you would have a seam at the end of your cuff like you do at the bottom here. You'd have that, but you could, you know, do the little trick of sewing along the seam there just to kind of tame the seam allowance. So... nice, Sharon. Are you knit as well? Nice. Grading between waist and a hip size. Where do you start tracing? Just blend the sizes. Just blend the sizes and just try and make it a nice smooth transition. Me too, Martina. Me too. All right. I had a pin here. We're getting rid of that puppy. And we're going to get a clip here. I could, you know, tack this with my machine too. That way I can really, you know, if I got a little torquing between there and there, then at least I get it back on track right there if I want. This is a pretty small circumference to have the pin, but this is what you're going to do. You're going to stretch it a little bit, the cuff. See, the cuff's a little bit smaller, but not much. If you were using a rib knit cuff, you could make the cuff a little bit smaller because the rib knit would be stretchier, but this is made for using your self fabric. So I'm going to start behind the seam when I start serging on here. And because sergers don't have a free arm, I always do this. I always put the cuff, the sleeve is inside out. The cuff is on the inside. I'm going to sew in here, and that way the whole cuff is above my machine bed. And I know, because otherwise if you're doing it like this, you have this whole cuff underneath there, and it can sneak under your machine. This way you see everything, you know? I'm not going to trim anything off this time. Get over that thickness, please. Stop being a little baby. That's the rudest I've ever been, huh? I hate that expression. It really doesn't have much to stretch. It's pretty easy to do. As long as you kind of set it up like this where you're doing the inside from the inside of the cuff here. So now when I get to this tail here, I'm going to try not to cut with my knife this serging here. And then when I go, I'm going to overlap it and then I'm going to go off at a 90-degree angle like that. But someone's giving me the tip. I don't think I can do it in a circle where you can turn your work and serge back onto it to secure the tail. I don't think in a circle. I'm not very good at that, so I wouldn't do that. So there we go. Gosh, I miss production sergers. They're so good. Where was Hurricane Ike, Sydney? Is that in, was that the one in Florida? Or on the East Coast? Yeah, that's a good point, Malin. I think it depends on the shape and of the waist. Like what kind of garment it is. I'm just going to fold this into the seam allowance and stitch it down. Nah, is that still threaded? No, I thought I unthreaded it earlier. I wish I was knitting right now. I have a project cast on that I actually really want, but I just haven't had much time to do it. I'm re-knitting a sweater I already have, which I never thought I'd do. But I have to say, the pattern I used, it's not very well made, like drafted, and I love the yarn a lot, so I got the yarn again. And I'm just going to make the sweater, but using a good pattern with the same exact details. So, all right, same thing. Not trimming was the key with my machine. I mean, with 1/4-inch seams, you wouldn't need to, so maybe I should have just left it at that, right? Oh, I didn't do the clip here. I'm kind of gently pulling. Ooh, I really cut that close, didn't I? It's kind of cool seeing the new businesses that have been coming up here, but God, I think the population is, what was 80,000 people up here, I think, right? Wait, 80, not 80,000. That's the population of Chico. Dang, I used to know all those stats. I can't remember. I know the population of Paradise was about 25,000. I think it's down to like 2,000 now. Are they really, Liza? No, Louise, that's such a bummer. Could you use a contrast fabric for your toe or yarn for your toes? All right, we can put our sleeves on now. So the flat sketch shows top stitching here. I really don't think you need it on the seam going around the cuff. So it's a pretty fat cuff. You know, like it's pretty relaxed. Look at that. I would actually probably wouldn't mind it being like tighter, you know. But I could also roll it up like this maybe. Yeah, the climate change thing has kind of gotten, like the weather stuff has gotten kind of really out of control. All right, so there's my front. And I'm going to turn my sleeves right side out. So now this is my front. And let's see here. That means it goes in this hole. I used to always get confused. And then I would triple check and pull my sleeve out again, line it all up again, and then I would doubt it and I would pull it out again just to make sure I got the front to the front and the back to the back and I wasn't putting my sleeves on backwards. So I think because I put the cuff seam towards the back on the bottom of the sleeve, I'll push the side seam of the garment towards the front. I'm going to stitch it just right there to kind of secure it. We'll get rid of all these threads here. What do you like to knit, Sharon? Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, 100-year storms every couple months. All right, so we have this one here. I'm just gonna leave a little bit there so I don't pull it apart when I go to sew it. Match the shoulder seam. And same thing, we're gonna sew from the inside of the sleeve. I love sock knitting. I definitely wasn't a sock knitter, but I love that you only do something for a short bit and then you get to do something else. Like there's a lot of variety and they go pretty quick. The only problem with it is you have to make two, you know? I was just about to use my foot pedal for my machine, my regular machine. Let's get that under there. Kind of get it going. It's not like you have to ease this sleeve in like you would for a set-in sleeve in wovens. Knits are pretty forgiving. You can just stretch it a little bit. You'll be fine. A lot of times there's not even a difference between the sleeve and the armhole. It is interesting thinking about stretch versus your armhole though. Because your sleeve changes grain lines, you know, along this curve. And so the stretch can change on it too, on the fabric. Especially in relation to the armhole. It was always the trickiest area to add shrinkage. Because your sleeve, you're adding shrinkage to a sleeve that the length grain's going like this, and the armhole of the garment at the bottom is going like this. So, yeah, right, Louise? I know. Second sock syndrome. Yeah, second sock syndrome, exactly. Yeah, you got to figure out your thing. I done that before, and I was a sweater knitter, so it was the sleeves. You get stuck on Sleeve Island, you know? And I sometimes would knit the sleeves first, but I don't. I'm pretty motivated, and I don't ever have many projects going on. So even if I do go, oh, I don't really want to do the sleeves, I don't really have the temptation of another project to take me away from that one. It's kind of a good strategy for me. All right, one more sleeve and we're pretty much done with this. Turn the sleeve right side out. Put it inside the hole. Underarm seams lined up. I like to offset them. Gosh, this thing's getting kind of heavy and hard to keep on the table. I'm pretty sure the people who sold us our house, had lived there for like 35 years, built the house and everything. I have a feeling they left because of fires. I never got to meet the wife, you know. But the husband, you know, I asked him about the fire thing, and he was kind of like, yeah, I mean, we have a sprinkler on our roof that we can turn on. And, you know, we have a generator. Oh, we also need the generator for the well. We're on a well. So there's a few things that were in place, but there's also a lot of vegetation on our property compared to all the properties around us. But our property is the only one with 2 creeks on it. So it's very lush. It's also wetter. And, after being there like one season, I'm like already starting to get worried about the next season, you know, and I think, this is it. They were just sick of that, you know, and they knew they could sell it. All right, let's bring you a little closer. Oh my goodness. What are you working on? Your first pattern piece pinned. You're making a jumpsuit? It would be kind of nice if we just had to do one sock. Or you like knit them in a tube and then cut them apart. To make, you know, like you just like, I guess that's what you do with a sock machine, right? Take it off the sock machine. Add your ribbing. Do your decreases for your heel and your toe. I don't know. I really don't know how that works. I'm wondering, is it going to be hard for me to find a new machine? I feel like machines are all sold out. And I'm dreading the process. I wish there was a sewing machine fairy and they were just like, we have the right one for you. We know exactly what you like and what you don't like. Like, I want a dating app for a sewing machine. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be awesome? We've successfully matched 66,000 sewists with their dream sewing machine. I've always said that, you know, if sewing were like a singles profile, I'd be like, I like a nice satin sleeve, baby. You know what I mean? Alright. Not a fan of my front band at all. Oh, so cozy. So, yeah, the neckband, I think, you know what I would do is I would make it probably in 2 pattern pieces, and I would add some stretching it to do it. Stretching it on to sew it on. You know what I mean? Because look at that. It's just not that great. I have to iron it. It'll calm down in the laundry. It's still pretty long. Look how long that is. I could button it, but I don't think I would like the way that would look. You know? I always pull from the center too. Oh yeah, and from the second, yeah, so you don't have to have two balls of yarn. Yeah. Yeah, I actually made a bag for that, Sharon, when I had chicken boots. And I would, I just rolled up the sleeves, so we can already see how I'm going to be doing that. But I had a bag, and it was just a little drawstring bag, and it had a hole at each corner. And then that way you could use the yarn, the ball, both ends of the yarn, and it wouldn't spin around in your bag and kind of get tangled, you know. Yeah, I think ironing it will help, and washing it. I think it's a good pattern. Yeah. The neckband, though, I don't know. We can do the full screen, I think. Let's see how I have it set up. It's a little zoomed. Okay, I think the cuffs are kind of big for, but it's the style, right? This is the large. How's it look? A little bit wavy, but look at the neckband. It's too long. You see how it's doing this right here and this right here? It needs to be shorter, like smaller, so you have to stretch it to get it in. So I think I think I might have enough fabric. I would probably just cut the band off and then make a new one, and I would just make it a tad wider to make up for the amount I cut off. So what pattern are you guys talking about? Oh, wow. Dang. That's a bummer. What's 1034 for what? Is this a machine you're talking about? Like a new sewing machine. Oh, you're making the Neva romper by Made for Mermaid. Started with the closet corner. I forgot what it's called. The Blanca. Oh, really, Sydney? That one doesn't come in extra sizes or more. You have the Juki MO654. That's awesome. Yeah, I think I might. That's Serge number. Okay, that's what I thought. I think I might look at the Juki. I looked, because I have a baby lock, and I looked at the baby lock cover stitch, and it was just too much money for this, you know. And you like the 1034 brother, yeah. So you guys are my dating app. I asked Grainline once. I was like, "Hey, what machine are you using?" And she said it was a Bernina something or other, and I could only find it on eBay. So I was like, I would get an industrial one if I didn't want to have to deal with another industrial machine for moving it. And so, oh, are you talking about the jumpsuit though, Sydney? They only have the Blanca flight suit, right? Do they have another jump? Oh, I might be wrong. There's so many jumpsuits out there. Next week I'm making the Yantas, right? Is this the revised? No, it's not the revised. But yes, I am making the Yanta overalls by Helen's Closet next week. You have the 1034D. Okay, you guys. All right. And the brother 1034D. And the Juki MO64. All right. You guys are my dating app. You guys are responsible. I'm just teasing. Is the Juki quieter? Quiet would probably be good for us. Sally Max dress and jumpsuit. Oh. I don't remember that. Genome Air Thread, the Genome Cover Pro. Is that a cover stitch machine? You're looking at buying the FOF 6. You guys are really narrowing this down for me. This is good. You're so this century, Barbara. Depending on how you look at the year 2000. Did you, Lydia? Nice. Got any tips? Any fitting tips? All right, I wanted to write down. Genome. I don't need a, bells of free arm is a bell and a whistle. I don't need any bells and whistles. I just want a minimum 4 thread, maybe a 5 thread with a seam. Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about the yantas. I feel like I would live in something like that. That'd be so great. And I could garden in them when I'm not, out there battling the agave. It's funny because you remember at the end of 2020 there was all the decade in review, but then like 50% of the population was like, but wait a minute, we did the decade in review for what was it, like the year 2010 or something. I don't know what it was, but it's like, really, it depends on how do you count the decade with starting with 0 through 10, then it's 11 years, or do you start it from 1 to 10, or do you go from 2000 to 2009? That would be 10 years. Like it gets really confusing. And I was like, I never even thought about it that way. So how do you guys know all this about these machines? Do you like the Cover Pro, Sydney? Is that a cover stitch machine? They fit you perfectly? Ooh, that is a big win. Then a kid's TV presenter. I love that. Juki 2004 thread. All right. I can resign myself to the 4 thread thing. I want something that likes different thicknesses. That's why I kind of want to look at the Juki, because I feel like I'm so used to the Juki Industrial, and it would probably be a metal machine. Making assumptions. I don't know anything about it. All right. Yep, right, Ray. That's what I was thinking too. I love the decades in review. And I was like, well, I hope we get another one in 2021 for the, I don't know. We should have gotten one in 2019 and one in 2020. People are like, is this the first year of the decade or the last year of the decade? Pretty sure they consider it the last year of the decade. It's the number 10, right? All right, well, this is cozy. But the neckband, I don't know about that. Between me managing my serger, I still got some torquing in there, right? Looks okay, needs some ironing. But I think maybe I will press it a little and then throw it in the laundry and see before I do anything drastic. But, I could just cut it off right here. All of the loss is like a ½ inch, LED lighting, soft function for sewing thicker Ooh. Soft function for sewing thicker fabrics. Oh, I wonder what that means. Yeah, no kidding, Nancy. I think that's why they were eager to do the decade in review. But it does make sense that 2020 would have been the end of the decade. That's not too far for me, huh, Barbara? I usually go to Meisner's. I have a sewing machine dealer here as well. Really, Ray? Wow. She died 10 years ago, but it would have been her 101st yesterday. Wow. Huh. Maggie's, I think, her 96th or 7th was last week, Michael's grandmother. He got to see her, though, on her birthday, which was pretty cool. He didn't expect it at all. He brought, like, flowers and some things and to drop off for her. And they were like, you can go see her. And he was like, really? And so we got to go see her. Oh, God, I can't imagine not having my mom. I can't at all. Like, we've grown up together. She had me when she was 20. You know? Like, she's always, like, yeah. I got it, Ray, but I wasn't going to say anything. And she was a math teacher. Well, you got her attention at least in the afterlife, right? All right, guys. Well, probably gonna wrap up. I do really love these kind of like sewing basics, you know, for garments. Sorry you can't see very much of it here on the table. Pockets were at the right height. They didn't look too high on me, did they? Maybe putting them in that seam would have been okay, but look at what my machine was doing there. Maybe not. Oh, so soft. The thing about this neckband is, like, see, there's no stabilizing edge at the fold here since it's a fold, and that's why I think you need to have it ease into the garment, and then that way it's kind of taut. And then that way, if it's taut, it kind of behaves, right? It kind of combats the torquing, and it wants to lay closer to the body and flat and not flop open. And I saw a lot of that in the neck up here, but it kind of needs it everywhere. And that was just too much for me to ease in through there. So, micro tension lever and seam tightening. Oh. Apparently you like it too. This is the brother, right? No. Genome. A lot of people love genome. Genome or genome? See you, Eliza. Your dad would be 101. He passed in 20. Wow, Louise. Aw. He lived a long life, too. Oh, yeah, Malin. Wow, yeah. I can't imagine. That's so young. People always say that, though. It doesn't really help, does it? Genome 2000D. There's a lot of D's in these. Okay. All right. I talked to my husband about buying a... Because I just usually buy all this stuff myself, and he does like, do whatever you want. It's your money, you know? But because... I don't know. I just don't really want to use what's left of chicken boots to do it. It's the like gift we all get a little gift for selling the house. That's what he said. I was like, oh really? What's my budget? I don't ever shop, you know. So yeah, exactly, Ray. Good way to put it. I'll check it out, Sharon. Yanome. I can see that. I like that, though. I've heard Yuki for Juki. Yuki. I used to hear a funny one for something. For a machine. I can't think of what it is, though. Oh, well. All right, well, I'm going to head out. So Wednesday, I'm cutting out the Yanta overalls. I need to get some overall hardware still. I guess that means I need to go to the store. Yeah, tension lever control. I mean, mine has tension control. It's weird. It's like one knob for all of them. I liked it when you had 4 knobs, you know, like one for each of your threads. So I looked at the Facebook marketplace at used machines just to see what was out there, and none of them looked like they knew what they were selling. So I was a little bit nervous. about it. I was like, like when I sold my machines, I was like, I gave all the specs. I gave links to my videos. If I'm like, here's the video of them in action. Here's a link to their website. What else did I put? I just put like all the specs and photos of everywhere. And like people are taking these really weird pictures overhead. I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, I know machines and I understand what I'm looking at here, or they're sideways. So yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Genome is Japanese. I didn't know that. Yeah, me either, Louise. Well, and Bernina is Swiss, right? And I think Singer might be as well now. I could be wrong about that. I loved Bernina's. I would look at a Bernina as well. All right, well, I'm going to head out. Ray, thanks. Thank you, Ray. Where's your alert? Yay! Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it. Hit the like before you leave. And in my laundry basket, I don't know if you guys got to see it on Instagram, but it worked great. So the only thing that I need to figure out is the hanging loops. They were too far in the bag, and I just know no one's going to use those. So I've been trying to like pick it up and like, if I was going to put this away really quickly, fold it up, and what's available to hang, like hold on to hang up. So I've been looking at that, and that just may be one of the things I can't do. Yeah, that's true, Malin. They do, Ray. They learn English at a very young age. My husband, when he travels to Germany, he speaks fluent German, and sometimes he gets barely any opportunity to use it. People want to practice their English. They have a combo. Well, I have a combo. I want it to be faster. See, that's the thing, is like, I don't really want a whole nother machine set up here, but at the same time, I don't really want to have to set it up in midstream. I was thinking buying separate machines would be more affordable. Billy Kitty, I saw your one of the cats had kittens on that kitten channel you like. I was saying something before, but the laundry basket. So I'm going to clean up that pattern, and it's going to be free for all the tier 2 and tier 3 Patreon patrons, just for fun. I need to kind of do fewer videos because I have a pattern I really want to work on really soon, because I've had it for a while, and I think people would enjoy it. So I really want to get going on that. And I'm going to have some production sewing going on, so I might do some streams with just some production sewing if you want to keep me company, because I got those 100 bags to make soon, so that'll be good. All right, guys, have a good weekend. All right, happy sewing. Thanks for hanging out with me. I like my new cardigan a lot, and I'll work on that neckband. I'll let you know what I do. But yeah, it's definitely, the neckband needs a little bit more refinement, just feeling it and everything, you know. Looks good. Like here, it just doesn't feel, it feels funny. Cool. What's an advertisement, Louise? Oh, Singer Viking 5. Oh, yeah. Okay, Louise. Yeah. Yeah, that's 3. Yes, exactly. Viking. I've had a Viking before. I had a New Home machine. It's the only machine I never liked. I don't even know if those are around. So, all right, guys. Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Wednesday if you want. Hi, Karen. Karen, I'm leaving right now, so I'm saying goodbye right now. I'm sorry. Thanks for saying hi. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday for Yanta Overalls by Helen's Closet. And if I should start saying this at the beginning of the chat, but if just so you know, sometimes the chat doesn't show up when the stream's done. It takes a few hours for them to process and upload it. So that's why sometimes you'll message me and say, hey, the chat's broken. It's not available until it's done processing. And if there's a lot of people processing video, it takes a while. So that's why. Sometimes it's available immediately and sometimes it's not till like the next morning. So, all right, guys, I'll see you guys on Wednesday.